Oh yeah, you already know what time it is. It is tier list time. Time to count down and rank the best point guards in NBA 2K22, my team. I'm not going to explain how the tier list works. I'm assuming majority of you watching this knows how it works in general. If you don't, I don't know what to tell you. S tier, unquestionable best cards in the game. A tier, just a shade under S tier. I think the point guard tier is where you're going to see a lot of division when it comes to the comments section, because I feel like a lot of personal play style kind of fits into your ranking of cards here. Now I'm going to do my best to rank them in an unbiased fashion. Multiple play styles, multiple gens, etc., etc. B tier. Majority of the community you're going to use guys in B tier. You know, these guys are all fantastic. Maybe there's like one or two things that's wrong with them, or they're just a shade under what some of the A tier guys bring you. C tier, you're going to find a lot of outdated or just kind of like middle of the pack guys here. They can do a few things well. They're good. You know what I mean? D tier. A lot of outdated former top tier cards are going to be in D tier. That's kind of how it is every single time. F tier, I mean, you know, they have a use, maybe, or they can do one thing well enough where I can't quite justify putting them in trash tier, but yeah, trash tier. Very self-explanatory. I feel like I don't have to explain this one to you. So let's get underway. Russell Westbrook, trash tier. It's NBA 75 Russ. He can't shoot. He's pretty bad. At this stage, if you have a point guard that can't shoot, I mean, you can buy point guards that can stroke the ball and do everything else for 3,000 MT. You have no reason to be using this rush at all. I think I said rush. Doesn't matter. Ben Simmons. I mean, he's big, so D tier. Like, he can't shoot, but he's a big player. You shouldn't be using this card at this point, though. Jaden Ivey, B. This card is actually really good. I feel like he's not underrated by any means. I mean, majority of people know how good this card is, but he is a top tier option under 100K for sure. Lynn Sanity, C tier. Breaks my heart to put Jeremy Lin in C tier, but it's appropriate. Allen Iverson, same thing. Breaks my heart, but he's just a little too small, and there's just guys that do what they do just so much better. This Allen Iverson I would put in D tier. He's just outdated. Better than Ben Simmons, though. Stand firm on that. Andre Iguodala. I'm tempted to put him in A tier, but I just think a lot of the point guards that are going to end up being in A tier are just better. But Andre Iguodala will end up at the top of B tier. He's one of the premier budget options, especially if you want like a bigger point guard. 6'6", good jump shot, dunks over everybody, plays great defense. He's phenomenal. I personally prefer him over Jaden Ivey. Dyson Daniels, A. I don't think he's quite as good on next gen, but on current gen, he's in the argument for the best point guard in the game, or at least one of them. So I think that does have to be factored in a little bit. I would put him in A tier for sure. Andre Miller is pretty bad. I would use Russ over him. That should say a lot. Arvida Sabonis, C. I mean, he's still a 7-foot tall point guard. He's not the greatest card in the world by any means, but you know, he's really good for cheesing the CPU and triple threat offline because he has a primary point guard and he plays center, so they'll usually put another point guard on him. Very effective. Baron Davis. I would rather use Jeremy Lin over Baron Davis, but he's like C tier. He's just middle of the pack. Glitched Ben Simmons. Oof. Tough. I think I would still put him in A tier, though. He's so good defensively, and he does everything pretty well. Like, there's not really too much negative to say about this card. I would still throw him in the low echelon of A tier. Like, he's objectively better than Andre Iguodala, which hurts, for sure. Invincible Ben Simmons is S tier. I just sold one for 700K, and I feel like I got cheated, personally. Ben Simmons is phenomenal, especially the Invincible version. Just wait till we get an endgame Ben Simmons. That card's going to break records for the amount of MT it goes for, even though the game's got like a month worth of lifespan left. Bill Sharman, D. Yeah, I mean, he's 95 years old in game. That's it. Bob Cousy, he's not trash tier because he hoops at this level after smoking a pack of Kent cigarettes per day. Unfiltered, by the way, which is very impressive. Like, the filters actually do anything. Pink Diamond Evo'd Bob Sura, C tier. They better give him an additional Evo so my man can get a Dark Matter. That would be phenomenal. Please do that, 2K. Signature Series Brandon Jennings. I refuse to put Brandon Jennings in trash tier, though he's very, very close. Bob Cousy is probably better than him, which hurts. Signature Luka, I would say, is still A tier. I think on current gen, he's B tier. But I think he's still so phenomenal on next gen that he's A tier because of that. Just like Ben Simmons is better on current gen, so I'll put Luka ahead of him. Ben Simmons on current gen is not as like insanely overpowered as Luka is on next gen, if that makes sense. Evo'd Shumpert, B tier. Regular Shumpert, C tier. Evo'd Shumpert's really good, though. I don't think he's as good as Jaden Ivey or Iguodala, so I'll put him behind them. Bonga, as much as I like Bonga, I mean, if you have a badged up version, sure, he gets C tier, but he's not quite as good as he was in past iterations, for sure. Cade Cunningham. Power within Cade is still pretty good on current gen. For that reason, I'd put him up towards the top of C tier. Bob Sura over Cade all day. Real life, in the game, everything, really. Jalen Suggs. Still a very good Sapphire card, so I'd put him like low echelon of D tier for that reason. He still has uses, but yeah, makes sense. Cameron Payne, I actually like this card. I'm going to put him in the bottom of C tier. There's going to be a lot of cards, or not C tier, D tier. There's going to be a lot of cards in D tier. I can do what I want. Cameron Payne's a fun card to use into triple threat offline. Chris Paul. Iverson, Jeremy Lin, Baron Davis area over here is okay. This Chris Paul, D tier. He was kind of good when he came out. Kobe White, D tier. Don't even want to talk about Kobe White. Cole Anthony, this card was pretty good. It's got that duo with Jonathan Isaac that's pretty tight. B. Craig Hodges, he's the best card in trash tier. Respect my boy Craig. Corey Joseph, I actually like Corey Joseph a lot. This card's pretty good. If we get another Corey Joseph, like that card could be incredibly solid. Jason Terry. Outdated, but he was really, truly ahead of his time. He was fantastic when he came out, but that was when he came out, and it's been a very long time since that came in. Dame. Dame's tough. Certain people are going to say he's B tier, but I personally think he's like upper echelon C tier. That's just me, though. I just think Dame's not quite as good in this iteration. We're going to get an Invincible Dame, and he'll be pretty good. He'll probably be like B tier somewhere. But this one, I would go C tier. No Chill Gil, B. This card was really good. Granted, he's a clutch time spin reward, so no matter how many games I play, I will never get him, so it doesn't matter. And I'm guessing majority of you guys feel the same way. John Wall. Hot take, I think this John Wall is like low B tier. I think John Wall is really good, and I think this card gets slept on a lot, especially because we've gotten so many good options under 100K, but John Wall's fire. Opal Steph, I would throw him by like Iverson, Chris Paul, Jeremy Lin, Baron Davis area. Like, he's a little more outdated, so I think he's like the worst of those guys, but still. Sleepy Floyd, super outdated, so I'll put him in F tier, but he was elite at one point in time. Jason White Chocolate Williams, my little point guard squad, he's the best one for sure. D'Angelo Russell, I actually really like this card, and I think he's like the worst card in B tier, but he still deserves to be there. He's better than Dame. I stand firm on that. Danny Granger. Yeah, he's A tier. I think he's A tier. Dyson is objectively a little bit better on current gen, but I think Danny Granger is better on both gens, so I'm going to put Danny Granger ahead of him, but Dyson's really good too. Plus, Danny Granger comes stacked with shooting badges, which you have to apply to Dyson. That being said, Danny Granger is phenomenal. I'm a huge fan. Darren Williams, he was pretty good when he came out. D, I don't think I ever saw anybody use him, though. Jalen Brunson, yeah, I don't care. Brunson kind of sucks. I'm sorry, D tier. It's fine. Darius Garland, D tier as well. Hurts my soul. We need a new one. I bet we get an Invincible Darius Garland this year. I just feel like that's going to happen. Don Ole. Don Ole was pretty good, dude. I'd put him up by like Damian. Like, he's just like slightly better Derrick Rose. He was pretty good, man. Jason Kidd, yeah. I mean, that jump shot's atrocious. He plays great defense, but that jump shot is horrendous. I'm going to put him in F tier. Darren Collison, whatever. D, no. F, I don't like Darren Collison. Dave Bing, he was okay. I mean, he's super outdated. Like, so I'd put him over here. John Morant, I would put him at the top of C tier. I don't see anybody running John Morant, so don't even come in these comments and say that he's B tier, because you're not running him, and I know that. I know for an absolute fact, nobody in this comment section is running this John Morant still. I'm sorry, it's not happening. This Dave Bing, I would also throw in F tier. He's an Amethyst, so he's a little bit better because he brings a little bit more value to your team, so he lowers your overall a bit, so I'll put him a little higher. Davion Mitchell, very useful for a Sapphire for sure. De'Aaron Fox, low C tier. Still some use, but yeah. DeJounte Murray, shout out to DeJounte and the Atlanta Hawks, moving all those picks just to get kicked out of the playoffs by a DeMar DeRozan mid-range jumper. Tisk, tisk, tisk. DeJounte's good, though. Like, he's, like, B tier somewhere. He's a good combination of, like, what Andre Iguodala brings you and, like, what Jaden Ivey or, like, John Wall brings you. You know what I mean? Due strictly to size, you know? Got a big player build. Gilbert Arenas, D. Jamal Murray, D. This card was okay when he came out. DeMar, D. They really did this DeMar super dirty. We're getting another OOP pack really soon. I wouldn't be shocked if they announced that tomorrow, honestly. Dennis Schroeder, trash, but still better than Russell Westbrook. Lou Williams, I'm a big fan of Lou Williams, but he's like the best card in D tier. Dennis Smith, yeah, D tier as well. He's not quite good enough to be in C tier, I'm sorry. Derek Fisher, I think, is actually the best card in C tier. If you're somebody who likes a specific set of dribble moves, you're really going to like Derek Fisher. And I think on next gen, you might even put him in B tier, but I think C tier is appropriate. This Derek Fisher, I'm in D. Derek Harper, D. Yakuba Diawara, oh yeah, B tier. Hot take for sure. I still think he's really good though. He's just like he's like a broke version of like Danny Granger, basically. This Jason Kidd, I would put him like right over here. Like jump shot's still kind of bad, but he plays phenomenal defense and he's a good point guard. Lamello Ball, I might be reaching on this one, but I still think Lamelo's A tier. I do. He's lower on the A tier echelon for sure, but A tier nonetheless. Derrick Rose, where's Don All? Yep. Caruso, I like Caruso, I don't care. C tier. This Derrick Rose, he's a little outdated for sure, but I think he's still better than all the guys in D tier, so I'm going to put him in low C tier. D Rose is fire, dude. Devin Harris, F. Devontae Graham, this one trash, this one F. Just outdated, not his fault. Penny Hardaway, one of the best, if not the best point guard of his time. At the same time, though, it's been a while since that's occurred, so I'd probably put him down by like Jason Terry. Michael Carter-Williams, hot take of the century, but C tier. I really like this card. Is he better than Cade? Yes. Yeah, I think he is, legitimately at this point. Invincible Steph, another hot take. I think for a certain play style, he is A tier for sure. I think he's one of the best three-point hunting cards in this game. He can move exceptionally well. He actually plays very competent defense. He's fast. I think A tier is appropriate for Invincible Steph. I really do at this stage. Markelle Fultz, I would throw in B tier. He's just a worse version of Invincible Steph. That's like what he is. I would throw him by D'Angelo Russell. Mike Conley, I'm a big fan of this card, but D tier. Magic Johnson, D. This card just is sluggish. I mean, it came out so long ago. It's not his fault. Earl Boykins, best card in trash tier. My boy. Patrick Beverly, trash tier as well. Earl Monroe is really good. I'm going to put him at the top of D tier. Sam Cassell is like barely C tier. Like, his head is so oddly shapen. Brandon Jennings, I'm a big fan of Brandon Jennings, but D tier. Eric Bledsoe, D tier as well. Eric Snow, D tier as well. Facundo Campazzo, D tier. Fred Brown, trash, unfortunately. Yeah. Fred VanVleet, it hurts to do this, but F tier, unfortunately. Gabe Vincent as well, F tier. Evo'd Gary Payton. Ooh, that is tough. That is tough. Evo Gary Payton is a very hard card to rank. I want to put him in B tier because I think with the Evo, he's really, really good. But I just think the jump shot slows him down, so I'm going to put him in C tier. Louis Dampier, best card in trash tier. Kemba, F. I hate Kemba. Gus Williams, I would throw in D tier as well. Invincible Cade, I would throw him in A tier. I don't think he's quite good enough to be S tier on next gen. I just think the guys that are in S tier are just so much better than him, but at the same time, like, Cade's really, really good. I would put him in A tier. I think all these guys are phenomenal, and for certain people, for certain gens, playstyles are even going to be better than some of the S tier guys. Isaiah Thomas, D. He's a little guy, but he can scoot. Jalen Rose, I'm a fan of. I'm probably going to move Derek down. It hurts to do so, but I have to. Jalen Suggs, I actually think is pretty good. Yeah, I would probably do this. Yeah, that's how I would rank it. Steve Kerr is pretty bad. Trash. This Jamal Murray, it's hard to say, but I might put him up in B tier. I don't know. This card's pretty good. I just don't know anyone that actually took this card, and I think that does have to hinder his ranking a little bit. Dennis Johnson is pretty bad, but he's not quite D tier bad, but he's not good at all. Beast Ja, D. Outdated. Rubio, F. Chauncey, C tier. Chauncey's my boy, dude. I don't care what anyone says. Jay Williams, phenomenal Sapphire. Honestly, this Sapphire is legitimately better than majority of the cards in D tier. It's sketch. Russell Westbrook, is this the first dark matter in D tier? It is. Wow. Needed to be done. Jeremy Lin, my boy, but it hurts. D tier it is. Jerry West. Since Winning Time came out, I've found a new respect for Jerry West. Now, that being said, I'm not going to translate that newfound respect into a pink diamond going into C tier. That's this outdated, but, you know, respect. John Stockton. D, he's actually, this is, oh, God, you know what? I can't do it. John Stockton's challenge was so absolutely painful to do during the Bracket Buster challenge that I can't even give this man his flowers. It needs to go F. I don't care. John Wall. John Wall's actually probably C tier. Like, not bad. Still usable. Seth Curry. Seth Curry kind of sucks. I'm sorry. D. Jose Calderon. F. I'm going to put Penny Hardaway in A tier. I am. Penny Hardaway is pretty nice. I think he deserves to go there. You may argue against that, but I think Penny Hardaway is objectively better than every card I have in B tier. Paul Pierce, shockingly, I think people are going to disagree with this, but because he's so good on Next Gen, I would actually throw him in B tier. Like, I would. And I don't even play Next Gen, all right? But he's objectively good. On Current Gen, like, he's C tier. He could still move okay, but Paul Pierce is good this year. Like, he is. Spencer Dinwiddie is C tier for sure. A lot of mid-level guys in here for sure. Big Russ. I think Big Russ is down here too. This card's not too terrible, but C tier is appropriate, I feel. Steve Francis. This card was top of the class for a little bit. Jrue Holiday, I actually legitimately think is B tier. I really enjoyed this card. You can tell that I like defense. Kemba Walker. Still not bad enough to be D tier, but like low grade C tier for sure. Starberry, I would put in here as well. Starberry C tier. He's the same as like Don Ole and Derrick Rose, just slightly worse. Not even. I would put them next to each other. Power Within Steph probably still gets a nod in C tier for sure. Kevin Johnson, F. Kirk Heinrich, D tier. That's my boy. Chris Dunn, really solid for a Ruby. I would throw him towards the top of D tier. Kyle Lowry's pretty bad, but D tier. Kyrie, outdated, but D tier. I think it makes sense. This Kyrie, also D tier. They weren't that far apart, honestly. Beast Lamello, D tier, just outdated. Larry Johnson, another hot take coming in here. Larry Johnson's A tier. I don't know where to rank these guys in A tier. It's just really personal preference. So I'm going to say they're not even ranked in A tier. There's really no point to rank them. If I had to, I would say Penny and Steph are probably... Penny and Lamello, maybe. I don't know. It's really hard. Barbosa, F. Lenny Wilkins. Lenny Wilkins was fire for a little bit. Lonzo Ball, C. Great. Emerald. Phenomenal. Origin Lonzo Ball, I would throw B tier. High B tier for sure. Not quite A. This Lonzo Ball, I would say C. Still usable in some capacity. Montes Sabonis is a very tough card to rank. There's going to be certain size kings that are going to want to throw him up here in B tier, which I don't think is the appropriate way to use the word size king. But I would probably put him in C tier. He has some issues, for sure, mainly being 6'11" and getting the ball stolen from him on a near constant basis being one of them. Lucius Allen, S tier mutton chops, trash tier player. Power Within Luka, I'd throw him over here too. Yeah, I mean, there's not much to say. I mean, the Lukas are ridiculous because of their jump shot. You can't really knock the card very much because, like, you can't contest the jumper on Next Gen. It's broken, like, legitimately broken. So, really hard to not put a card with a completely fake jump shot that can hit 67% reds on a consistent basis anywhere but A tier, really. Invincible Luka, yeah, it's not even close. S tier, obviously. I don't need to explain that. Matt Calvin, dog, C tier. You thought I was going to put him somewhere higher. Supernova Magic Johnson. I'm actually tempted to put him in B tier. He's still a 6'9" point guard, and you guys know I really enjoy Magic, so it's kind of tough to say. I think he's still good enough to be B tier, but I'm going to put him in C for now. I think he's good enough to be in B tier, though. Endgame Magic, it's not even a competition. He's the best card in the game just because he's better at both gens. Like, I think Magic is the best card on current gen for sure. Luka is the best point guard on next gen, but Magic is so much better than So Magic is better on next gen than Luka is on current gen, if that makes sense. So I think that needs to happen. Mario Chalmers is actually a really fun card to use. I genuinely enjoy playing with him, which is crazy. Mark Bryce, dude. Michael Jordan. Ooh. A. I would say A is appropriate. I mean, if you have a badged up one, you could say he's S tier still, but I think A tier is appropriate for him. Mike Conley's. Dark Matter Mike Conley, C tier. Like, he's actually pretty good. I actually am a big fan of this card, and he's like not even the top reward. It's crazy. Mo Williams, pretty trash. Nate Tiny Archibald, I hate this card with a burning passion. Nate McMillan, double Nate action, terrible. Nick Van Exel, balling like Van Exel, F. Norm Nixon, F. Oscar Robertson, I think, is low, C tier. This card still can move. This Oscar Robertson, phenomenal, B tier. Big fan. Personal bias. This Oscar Robertson, trash. Patty Mills, F. Peyton Pritchard, D. He's not very good. Pete Maravich, D. He's just outdated. Rafer Alston, D. A lot of D's up in here. Rajon Rondo, D as well. Reggie Jackson, trash. This Reggie Jackson, well, no, F. F and F, I would say. Reggie Theus, okay. I'll be honest, for my own personal rankings, I would actually put Reggie Theus in B tier because I think he's just like a budget version of Penny, but I'll be realistic here and I'll throw him in C tier. He's good though, like really good. For a budget card, insane. Robert Pack, D tier. Loud Pack. Rod Strickland, trash. F, whatever. I keep saying trash, but you know what I'm getting at here. Ron Harper, D. He's not great, but Salim Stoudemire would put in D as well. There's going to be dribble gods. I think he should be C tier. I guess. Whatever. C. Fine. Low C tier. Scott Skiles, the GOAT. D. Shea is D. Other Shea is also D. I would put them both like right next to each other. He wasn't even really that good when he came out. Sean Livingston, this one's going to draw ire in the comments. I just know it, but I actually firmly believe he's like a low C tier point guard. Yeah, he's got a terrible jump shot for sure, but I think this card is a lot better than people give him credit for. I really do. He's phenomenal. Smush Parker deserves a little C tier love as well. Really good Ruby. Spencer Dinwiddie, D. This Steph Curry, yeah, no question. B tier. Steph, he's good this year. Like, this is the first year that Steph's been really good, like consistently throughout the year. Steve Nash, yeah. Tim Hardaway, I don't know where to rank him. He's tough, man. I would still throw him like top of C tier, I think. Like, there's almost more A tier guys than C tier. The point guard tier is very imbalanced this year, I feel. Tim Hardaway's not bad. I mean, if you grinded for him, cool. This one, D. Kukoc, I think, is like a low C tier guy for sure. Tony Parker is a D tier guy. Trey, I think Trey's like a mid C tier guy. Trey's fun. He's a fun card to use, just real small. This Trey gets D tier for how dominant he was all year. Halliburton, terrible load up animation. I dislike this card, but probably like C tier somewhere, like Bob Sura area. Can't really objectively put him below Sean Livingston. Maxey probably goes up here in C tier as well. This card's pretty good. A lot of people used him. Tyrone Lou absolutely gets C tier option. He's the most overpowered gold in this game. 2 years of running. Tyus Jones, yeah, whatever, D tier. Walt Frazier, love Walt Frazier, but D tier. And Yuta Tabusa, literal worst card on this list. I hate this card so much, mainly because I always have to hear Yuta all the time. I hate it. I despise it. Get Yuta out of the game. Greg Ostertag deserves more shine than Yuta Tabusa. I'm sorry. It's been your boy Cheap Ludes. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. And yeah, I'm going to be coming out with more tier lists. I'll probably wait till the actual packs and season drop on Friday, but I feel like waiting this time. So